I'm doing well, Roy. Glad to be here.
All right, well, thanks. So let's start off by telling the folks a little bit about what Stride Professional Development is.
Yeah, absolutely. Stride is the nation's leading provider of online education in the K through 12 space. We were formerly known as K-12 Inc. and are over 2 decades in the space of providing free virtual online education across the nation to students, no matter where they are. We've since changed our name to Stride because we've done expanded beyond the K-12 space, though that's still very much what we do as a priority. What we've also done with the Stride Professional Development Center is we've leveraged some of our expertise over the past 2+ decades of supporting schools and students and educators, teachers, principals, and we are trying to innovate, the way professional development happens for educators, and that we're doing that through the Stride Professional Development Center. Gone are the days where it's face-to-face only PD. It's episodic professional development. It's professional development that's not necessarily relevant to what teachers and educators need right away. So the Professional Development Center is designed to solve that challenge with some unique, innovative ways of delivering content.
All right, man. Well, listen, we are super excited here at the network to be engaged with you all and helping to provide this opportunity for teachers all across the country, and especially those teachers that are coming from our HBCU backgrounds, because we know that education was always one of the stalwarts of most HBCUs in this country. They all had teaching programs, and that's what a lot of them were founded for. So Darren, let's talk a little bit about those special programs that you guys have for the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Roy, you hit on the very important point. Right now in our country, we're facing probably one of the greatest challenges, of our teaching corps that we have in many, many years. And that's around this teacher shortage. A lot of teachers are exiting the profession. Just based on tenure, they're retiring and moving on, and then you have, our existing teachers who are being taxed and stressed, particularly post-COVID with, increasing demands, challenges that they're facing in the classroom, and a host of other issues that they struggle with. And we need good teachers, and we need to support the teachers that we have. So the two things that we're doing is that we know first-year teachers, among all teachers, are among the first to leave the profession within the first 5 years. I think they do at a 44% rate, which is just scary to think that folks are, graduated, want to go in the classroom and make a difference, but, feel like they need to leave within the first 5 years because it's so challenging. So we want to support them. Obviously, as a new teacher, your school that you work, where you work your first year, the district where you work, there will be some professional development support to assist you, but we want to go a step further. We want to help every teacher in the country get off to a strong start to their first year and have some stick-to-itiveness, to help them get through that first year. So we're offering a year free access to the Stride Professional Development Center. It's a ever-growing online database of courses that will help them in a variety of different ways. Classroom management, targeted instruction, and a host of other things. And the content will continuously grow. Again, it's just another resource that allows them to sharpen their practice, to feel like they're supported, because the research says that teachers are leaving in large part because they don't feel like they get enough professional support. So we really hope that helps new teachers. So again, this is for any new teacher who just graduated in the country. All you have to do is go to our site and sign on using the Teachers Win discount at checkout. Also, we have another campaign where during Teacher Appreciation Week, we gifted all teachers in the country, no matter where you are, 6 months free Professional Development Center access. But we're doing a special thing through our partnership with the BCSN and our HBCU graduates, and also the schools that you work with. We want any teacher in the country who through our partnership gets access to the Professional Development Center, and they get 6 months free using the BCSN 23 passcode at checkout. Again, our goal is to support and get as many teachers on the site feeling supported, to really help them succeed and have some success, not only for them, but obviously for our kids and the communities they serve. So.
Most definitely. And Darren, listen, we are super excited again to be a part of this. My mother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. I have my best friend is a teacher. Absolutely. So we understand. I've worked in the school system for years. So I understand the resources that are needed. I understand why a lot of these teachers do take the time and they sit there, and after going through college, they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Yeah. So we're happy to be a part of this to help you guys change that. So ladies and gentlemen, here's all you guys need to do. All you need to do is take a look and go to the link that's right below us right now and see what you're going to do. You're going to see 2 links on the page now, just to make sure. The top one takes you to their professional development page, homepage. That'll let you know about some of the things that are happening there and the things that you have access to. Go to the second link that says Teacher Appreciation. That'll take you directly to the content page where you can sign up and get your free year if you're a new teacher, and your free 6 months if you're an existing teacher. Let's show them how we utilize resources, and we make sure that we take time, those folks who are HBCU alum, and use this. And let's see what Stride has to offer. We're excited about it. We know you will be too. Darren, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the folks?
No, I mean, just, as a teacher myself, and understanding the need, and of course with the diversity that's needed in our teaching corps across the country, I know our HBCU teacher graduates are just exactly what we need in our community. So I really encourage them, and just glad to be doing this partnership with you all.
All right. Well, folks, there you go again, Mr. Darren Reed, Senior Vice President of Stride Professional Development Learning. We will be seeing you guys, and trust me, you'll be seeing more from their partnership with us as we move forward, always trying to do our best to make sure that we move forward with the community. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, I love it, I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. I think Mike Washington may have had a little too much tailgate in him. So he made it to the game yesterday, so he wasn't on assignment. So I don't know, maybe he had a quick flight out. You know how Mike is. He's always at the airport. But it's all good because we have Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, and B.J. Jones. We'll check out and see if we can squeeze Joshua Sims in here. He may be working on a special project as well. With that being said, welcome to episode 442 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information about the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-hosts, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew, B.J. Jones. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KSOH 12:30 a.m. studios, along with A.D. Drew getting up early in the morning to get into the office. He got some other project stuff, so he's double dutying, but he's making it work. So we'll give him a little time. He'll be set up and ready to go shortly. With that being said, Charles Bishop, how you doing this morning?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. Fastball not quite as fast this morning, but we had a lot of great action yesterday, and you and I were out there at the Prairie Views game last night, catching up on all the games. But man, yesterday that was epic. You had a lot of great games yesterday.
Shout out to you, cigars to you for the big
Thank
win. You. Texas Southern didn't play, so you don't have to worry about that one. And then as your second home, third home, as you are covering Prairie View A&M Panthers, cigar to you as well.
Yeah, I had a twofer yesterday, so it was a good day.
That's a real good day. With that being done, A.D. Drew, seems like you've been doing this a little bit for a while. How you doing this morning? Cigars to you. One victory, one
After Tuskegee struggled in the first half against Morehouse, they finally opened up a can in the second half and was able to get that one. And
I guess as you're moving, your signal is kind of going out. So we'll come back, but I do want to say officially, cigars to you. Congratulations on both the wins. It's always nice. Another twofer. BJ Jones, I'm sure you watched it, so we'll hold on to the cigar the next week, maybe. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm tired, man. Early morning flight back to Atlanta. And wasn't a good one, man. Came down to the wire last night. Heck of a ball game, but fell a little bit short.
Yes. Unfortunately, you've been saying that a little too often for the Southern Jaguars. It's been tough. They've been right there, but then oftentimes they fall a little bit short. With that, on the better side of things, we got Joshua Sims Sr. in now, so we have to give him a cigar. Shout out to his Eagles as they got it done. Big road win, solid. We'll have a segment on here. We'll talk about what I'm calling the 18-wheeler as we look at the road to Atlanta. SWAC in the Celebration Bowl. So we're going to talk about who's in the front and who's in on the 18-wheeler in the back seat, looking to maybe try to knock somebody out of that front seat. So we'll see what y'all have to say about that. We'll get that going a little later in the show. With that being said, let me give you the updates on the top 7. Let you know what happened in the top 7 this weekend. Number 7, Allen Yellow Jackets defeated the Clark Atlanta Panthers 35-27. They improved their record to 5-1, 3-1 in the conference race. That's 5-1 in terms of the season. At number 6, we have Fort Valley State Wildcats defeat the Savannah State Tigers 38-24. They also improved to 5-1 on the season and 5-0 in the conference race with 145 points last week was their ranking. At number 5, you had Tuskegee Golden Tigers defeat the Morehouse Maroon Tigers 40-28. So Tuskegee improves to 4-1, 3-0 on the season. You also have number 4, West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, who lost to the Notre Dame, Ohio, 31-24, 4-2, and 4-1 on the season as they dropped to 4-2 overall. And number 3, you had a classic matchup that went back and forth for the second half of the game, where Miles Golden Bears lost to the number 1 Benedict Tigers 27-24. So they fall to 4-2. And tough, they are 2-2 in the conference race in the SIEC. Remember, there's no longer divisions in the SIEC, and they take the top 2 teams. So we'll see how that loss actually affects Golden Bears, obviously a very good team. Number 2, we have Virginia State Trojans defeat the Bowie State Bulldogs 44-16, 5-0 as they improve to 3-0 in terms of the season. The number 1 Benedict Tigers go on the road and get the win against number 3 Miles Golden Bears with a game-winning drive touchdown that put them ahead for good as they held on to it. So the Miles Golden Bears won, and they improved to 6-0, 4-0 in terms of the season. With that being said, before I ask you about your thoughts on any of the games, let me give you the major division updates here. Before I do that, let me stop and park this for a minute. Let me get your thoughts on, if you would, the mid-major division. I'm going to start with you, Charles. What were your thoughts on that?
Huge game. I mean, Benedict and Miles, that's the one that jumps out for me. Game that went back and forth, but Benedict, I think Coach Chennisberry said it. That's like a program-defining win. Anytime you get that sort of adversity on the road and you fight through to get the W, man, Benedict, that showed me a lot yesterday, because that was one, if anyone that I thought, Benedict had a chance to stub their toe, that was the one yesterday, but they came out with the W. So that was macho. That proved to be a huge.
Good point. So when you say stub their toes, you don't have any faith in that Fort Valley State is for real that maybe can get them?
Not as much now. I I think that was the separator yesterday. That was the bar everybody has to reach up to with regards to Benedict. I thought that Miles' atmosphere I thought was going to be enough, to really provide a lot of a wall, if you will, with regards to Benedict getting the W. But that was a good job. That's when you take a look at a team and they get a tough road win like that. I think everybody's just reaching up into Benedict at this point.
I'd love to hear what you say when we get to the major division, because you had a couple of good, tough road wins. Yeah. With that being said, let me go to BJ Jones. You were shaking your head in affirmative as well. Sounds like you may agree quite a bit with Charles in terms of that particular matchup.
Yeah. Right now, Benedict and Miles are the class of the SIAC. I think that those are the two teams to beat. And if it plays out the way I think it's going to play out and they meet up again, Doc, they can charge whatever they want to charge on the ticket price. People who love the game of football will be willing to play it and travel to wherever they host it, because that ball game yesterday was an amazing ball game, and they had potentially see that one again. Oh, sign me up. Sign me up.
Well, I agree with you. It certainly was a classic matchup, boy. It had championship written all over it. So great point when you make there. Let me go to you, Joshua. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 7? Anything jumped out to you?
Man, CIAA, man. I try to do my best when I come on this show to focus on the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association. And Lord have mercy, did we have another day yesterday? I mean, Virginia State, I'm lost for words, dog. I can't. Listen, you come into somebody's house on homecoming. And shout out to Bowie State. Bowie State was very festive yesterday. Shout out to Morgan State. They welcomed Morgan State in. And I heard a lot of the Morgan State alum and fans went down to Bowie, Maryland yesterday and participated in homecoming for Bowie as well. And it was a great homecoming. But God, B-Mo, love me, boy. Dr. Henry Frazier III just said, listen, I don't got time to hear none of that. I'm going to just go on and come up in here and put 40 on you for homecoming, because it's my homecoming too. I might as well go on and celebrate myself. So, I mean, you just had a lot going on in the CIAA yesterday. And across the tops, across the mid-majors, I was, again, everybody's hit the nail on the head, man. That Miles and Benedict game was a classic. I would absolutely pay to see that game again. I was very, very excited. But I won't pay to see Virginia State and Bowie State again. That was ugly. That was ugly.
Josh was saying Virginia State put nearly a 3-piece chicken wing dinner for 3.
With the sides on it too, Doc. They gave the sides and all of that.
And the hot sauce.
Hey, Drew, as they talk about chicken wing plates and hot sauce sides, that's mustard greens for some of y'all. With that being said, Drew, what was your biggest outtake of this weekend? What caught your attention?
But doing what they did. There were 5 undefeated teams coming into this weekend in the SIAC. We knew one was going to fall off between Benedict and Miles, and that just happened to be Miles. The other 4 handled business. Hey, you said something about Benedict and Miles being a possible rematch in the SIAC championship game. Won't happen. Tuskegee has the easiest road to one of those 2 teams. IAC championship game. Look at Tuskegee's schedule of all of the 4 undefeated teams that remain in the SIAC. Tuskegee only has 1 matchup against the upper half team, and that's the last game of the season against Miles. Everyone else plays another upper half team at least 2 times in the remaining 4 weeks.
Great data points. Speaking of data points, let's go to Mike. Mike, I know you're not in the airport and it was a long television night, but the shades, you got so much bright light you don't want anybody to see? What do you want, shine? What is this?
Ordinarily, I like to say my future is bright, but that does not apply today.
This is what happens when you tailgate before a game, go to the game, tailgate after the game, and then on the way home, your big brother, the one who calls you and says, "Come smoke one with your boy," at 11:45. One smoke turns into two brotherhood smokes. Two brotherhood smokes turns into 3 shots and 3 smokes. So this is what happens. So lessons, don't follow Big Mike's lesson. So this is what happens.
The problem for us is Big Mike, you the big brother of all of us. We will always be in trouble.
That's right. So when I call y'all, expect the same. But when mine calls me, you see where I get it.
Oh, it's tough out there in the paint.
Oh, yo.
Let me get to it as we get into the major division top 7. At number 7, Alabama A&M Bulldogs lose in Mobile location to the number 4 Jackson State Tigers, 45-30. They had a late drive that may have made it look cleaner on the board, but Jackson State got the goal line stances, kept them out of the end zone. The number 6, you have Southern Jaguars lost as they went back and forth and gave number 1 Florida A&M Rattlers everything they wanted. But Rattlers, as a championship-looking team, get it done on the road in extremely hostile territory, 26-19. Now, you speaking about a game that you might want to see again. This one, I must admit, in terms of the score and the competitiveness of it, at least, I could watch it again and be excited about it. But you have a couple of other teams that are fighting to get in front of them, and one of those is Grambling State Tigers. Unfortunate for them, they went on the road, and they didn't have the same success Virginia State did to the homecoming of Bowie State Bulldogs. They lost to the number 10 Alcorn State Braves. It was a classic matchup. Late touchdown got it done, 25-24. The end of the game was interesting in terms of the call, and we got Charles doing his homework to find out to see what we can get on that one, either later today or certainly by Tuesday. Grambling falls to 3-3, 2-1, and along with the Southern loss, they turn the West into chaos as 4 teams have just 1 loss. And don't look outside your door because Texas Southern behind there with a backup quarterback only has 2 losses. So it'll be interesting to see how that falls out in the West. So we have number 4 Jackson State Tigers defeat number 7 Alabama A&M Bulldogs, as we said, 45-30. So Jackson State improves to 4-2 and 2-1 in their race. And number 3, and keep the tough things going on Florida A&M that's ahead of them. Hampton Pirates lost to Campbell's 30-27. This is the same team that North Carolina Central defeated. Right there with them in this game was a home game for Hampton, but couldn't pull it out. They fall to 3-2, 1-1. That was some people's number 1 ranked team, so they'll probably fall out of that ranking in terms of first place votes. We tried to tell y'all, but we're going to leave that right there. Number 2, North Carolina Central Eagles defeat Elon Phoenix 34-23. We thought they were going to get it done, but I'm not sure we were thinking, other than Joshua, that they were going to be get it done as much as they did. It was actually an 18-point game that was going back between 18 and 11 versus being 11 and 4 points for those. Eagles got the ball late and just ran out the clock on them, essentially. They improved to 5-1. Obviously, the MEAC hasn't started conference play. Number 1 ranked Florida A&M Rattlers defeat the number 6 Southern Jaguars 26-19, 5-1, 4-0. So both number 1 and 2, week after week, have these very impressive victories. We'll see what the gentlemen think about how impressive they were. 5 first place votes, and they remain at number 1. With that, we'll take our first break and come back on the other side, give some thoughts on the top 7 for the major division, and then go straight into some key matchups and see what everybody thinks. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with the whole team in front of us. We're gonna jump right into it until mid-major matchup, which will first start out with a Tuskegee Maroon Tigers. Drew will probably be able to jump on that real quick. But with that being said, let me check out everybody's thought before we get into that. Top 7. Joshua, what stood out to you in terms of the top 7?
On the major level, man, listen, those top 2 continue to be consistent. Jackson State going down, neutral site game against Alabama A&M, taking care of business. But for me, it's really about those top 2 championship caliber teams. Find ways to win games, and shout out to Florida A&M. Shout out to Florida A&M. You find a way to win a game in a hostile environment. I know Mumford was bombing last night. As I was talking to my brother BJ Jones, it was definitely a great environment in there last night. TV people didn't do the game justice, man. I don't know, man. They got to do a better job of being able to fully articulate the environment that's going on in the atmosphere. But shout out to FAMU, man, in North Carolina Central. I'm making my plea right quick. 5 seconds. I'm making my plea to the voters across the board. It's okay for y'all to make that switch. All right. It's okay for y'all to put something back there. All right? It's all right. All right. I'm just putting my plea out there. That's all I'm doing. I'm just leaving it right there. I ain't saying nobody. I'm just saying if you show up at our homecoming and you ain't switched us, don't ask for no plates. We ain't giving you nothing.
Hey, there are 2 first place votes out there. And it doesn't mean that anybody has 6 of them, fam. You don't want to switch. So great point. Great plea.
Look at Moses leading his people to the promised land. Look at that, man. Hey, somebody got to do it, baby. Somebody got to do it.
Man, that ain't right. That ain't right. BJ Jones, what are your thoughts? What hit you about the top 7 of major division?
Championship teams find a way to win. Even when the game is not going perfect. We saw that a week ago with North Carolina Central. We saw it last night with Florida A&M. Teams that are built with championship pedigree, it might not be pretty It might not be the way that the fans may have drawn it up, but they find ways to win, and you saw that on display last night in the Florida A&M and Southern game.
Yeah, I like that. I was watching it in the upstairs with you. That was not a pretty game by any stretch. I'd like to challenge Jay's top 5. There wasn't a SWAC West team in his Power 5 when we're watching that FAM Southern game. I'd like to challenge that. Come on now, not one.
Dang, Charles, what's on your mind? We already see Mike not only was excited about the game, was tough to watch. He talking about who he gonna go out.
I echo the sentiments about FAMU and Southern, but Alcorn Grambling, Alcorn State Braves throwing a huge monkey wrench. And you said it, you coined it last night. The West is a mess now. With Alcorn, with that huge win in the waning seconds of that game against Grambling. And I can't say enough about that Alcorn defense because Grambling can run the football, but they did the job last night.
Good stuff. AD Drew, what's your thoughts into the major division top 7?
I think they just put 5 more seconds on the clock for the Grambling Alcorn State game. Because they kept putting time on the clock and time on the clock. Oh, man. I'll let you know what happened in a moment. I got to pull it up on the phone. But
I thought McNair was going to have a fit, man. I thought he was going to go out in the tailgate.
And I'm going to cover both divisions with this quick statement. You had 5 feature matchups. 3 of them were home runs. Yeah. 2 of them they weren't quite duds, but they didn't live up to what the hype was for two of those 5 games. And we all know what we're talking about. Hey, Josh, I know one person with the first place vote out there that's for sale right now, and that's mine, because Hampton made me walk the plank this weekend. Hampton got my first place vote last week, based on what they had done the last couple of weeks. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Josh. Y'all might get my vote this week based on what y'all have done the last couple of weeks. And FAM's winning, but they're not winning impressively. I will give that to the Eagles. The Eagles have won impressively the last 3 weeks. So I'll let you know once I actually cast my ballot. But you got me thinking, bro.
Hey, AD Drew, I was this close from switching my major from business to political science. So I'm doing the work right now. This is part of what I got to do. I got the politics, got to shake hands, kiss babies. I got to do my job. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, brother, and we appreciate your vote, and we hope that we be on your ballot this time come up tonight.
Well, I'm the swing voter. I am the swing voter. That's all I'm gonna say. Make sure you got my water and my hot dog when I go to the polls, because I know the line gonna be long.
Let us know any contingencies we can do for you when it come around post-political season. Any contingencies you want, an extra barbecue on your plate, some coleslaw, whatever it is you need, brother, we willing to do it for you both, brother.
You doing coleslaw to the background of your team. Now, he really is talking politics. First time ever on the inside of the HBCU Sports Lab, we found a way to mix in politics and sports, and we're actually here negotiating first place votes. Man, this is big time. Big time. Sticking with you, AD Drew. Let's get into that Morehouse Tuskegee Classic in Birmingham. Number 3 Tuskegee Golden Tigers get it done. 5-1, 4-0. Defeat the Morehouse Maroon Tigers that dropped to 0-6 and 0-4, 40-28.
Obviously, you know, my main eye was on the FAMU Southern game, but I was kind of flipping back and forth between the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic. And I didn't miss a whole lot while I was flipping back and forth in the first half with the 6-6 score at halftime, except what the F kind of feeling that is going on when Tuskegee, a team who should be taking care of business and should handle a team like Morehouse early, let the team like Morehouse stay around. I don't know what the halftime speech was from Coach Aaron James, but they came out in the second half, got on the board early, reestablished the running game, and was able to take a 27-7 lead going into the going into the fourth quarter. So, Tuskegee was able to put its foot down. Of the 4 undefeated SIAC teams, Tuskegee is probably the least impressive of the 4, but like I said earlier, they have the easiest road of the 4 that's remaining. That's why you have to stay on the Tuskegee bandwagon and the Tuskegee train because of the road that train is taking.
Man, I was so excited about the politics. I'm gonna start right there. I'm gonna go back to you, Joshua. We're gonna look at the Bowie State Bulldogs game. Number 2, Virginia State Trojans 6-0, 4-0. Defeat the number 10 Bowie State Bulldogs 3-3, 2-2, 44-16. And yes, it was Bowie State's homecoming. They might have had a lot of fun and celebrated everything else, but it certainly was not about the game.
Yeah, I mean, Doc, you make an emphatic statement. And had it not been that Benedict defeated a top 3 team yesterday, I would be on here politicking for Virginia State as well. This is how you make a statement. For those of those who are listening and watching who may have short-term and long-term memory loss, Bowie State flat out dominated this conference for a long time.
Yep.
A lot of this had to do with that. We talked about it a little bit last week, that Henry Frazier coaching tree. And these guys really being able to replenish coach after coach, season after season, depth year in and year out. And then you have Virginia State under the same coach who was at home yesterday, goes in there and he flat out dominates his alma mater. 44-16, and I'm going to be honest with you, because in that second half, you could almost see a little bit of the throttle being pulled back. This could have been worse.
Oh, wow.
It could have been worse. I'm watching in the second half, and you can tell that Coach Manigault, the offensive coordinator of Virginia State, he pulled back a little bit. I mean, this was worse. This could have been worse. Now, I do want to take a moment to shout out to Bowie State. I gave love to Bowie State and Morgan State and their ability to come together and have some congruence yesterday, given everything that happened at Morgan. And then even worse than that, something happens at Bowie last night. We found out from AD Drew that something happened at Bowie last night. So our love and prayers go to Bowie as well. And that student body and that alum and that support system, that community. But this was rough, man. You got drives where they going 3 plays, 78 yards to score touchdowns. You got drives where they going 15 plays, 95 yards to score touchdown. I mean, Lord have mercy, man. Whatever Virginia State wanted to do yesterday, they were able to do. And this one was rough, man. And the scoreboard, again, in this situation, not indicative of what it really could have been. It really could have been worse.
There you go. BJ Jones, I know you watched, like many of us watched the Benedict game, kind of touched on it. What are your thoughts in terms of that matchup where number 1 Benedict Tigers improved to 6-0, 4-0 in the conference race? As I said, they defeat number 3 Miles Golden Bears 4-2, 3-1, 27-24 was the final score. The last half of the game, in the second half, I should say, went back and forth in terms of very impressive drives. Miles to get back in the game, then finally take the lead. And then Benedict Tigers says enough is enough. It's time to get this victory and go home. What were your thoughts in terms of this game matchup?
If you are a connoisseur of what I call grown man football, you love this ball game on yesterday. Miles and Benedict are built extraordinarily well for a Division II team along both sides of the line of scrimmage. Miles' defensive line, go back and watch that Alabama State tape. Go back and watch that Arkansas Pine Bluff tape because they dominated both of them up front. And Benedict is just as imposing. Man, Benedict found a way to get it. The Hardy kid from Miles, the linebacker, he I don't know who's up for SIAC Defensive Player of the Year.
Lupa Danellis.
Yeah, but Hardy can go too. Hey man, this was a classic ball game, and I know AD Drew laid it out. Man, if you told me that they will go play again today, I'm there. It can be Wednesday. Now this is just one of them games like, man, you feel like I want to take it in again. And shout out, we talk a lot about Chennis Bear, but shout out to Sam Shade, head coach at Miles College.
Yeah.
That program was decimated a year ago.
Yeah.
When Reginald Ruffin left that program, a lot of guys left and followed him to Tuskegee and went elsewhere. He went in and he's completely revamped that roster, and Miles is a contender again. So when you start hearing about the coaching carousel spin, Sam Shade and his pedigree, and if you look at his body of work, I think that's another name, young guy, that's name's going to come out, man. But just amazing ball game yesterday. Benedict found a way to get it done on the road. At Miles College, they made that atmosphere electric. Shout out to the Golden Bears. But it's going to be real interesting to see how these next few weeks play out in the SIAC.
Good stuff, good stuff. Going back to you, Drew, for this number 4 West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, just when we thought they were making a push in the MEC, as it seemed Notre Dame, Ohio Falcons were down this year as they came into the match at 2-2 in the conference race. Well, not so fast. They win 31-24. Yellow Jacks played well, but could not quite get over the hump on the road as Notre Dame, Ohio Falcons win and improve to 3-3 and 3-2 in the conference race. Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup that took place?
It's something about a team named Notre Dame beating a Yellow Jackets ACC team. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong level, y'all. Wrong level. Wrong Notre Dame. Wrong Yellow Jackets. No, seriously, though. West Virginia State, a team that has one of the top running backs in Division II football in Joe Felder. Had a decent day 16 times. 91 yards, 5.7 per carry. Here's the problem. Your defense gave up 230 yards on the ground in the game, which allowed Notre Dame to control the clock, shorten the game. And what if I told y'all what's that to really look at this year with the rule change, where the clock's not stopping on first down? Look at the rushing attempts and how that correlates to time of possession. And if you have a team that is not the level of the other team, if you can control those two things, you give yourself a fighting chance to win the game. And that's exactly what Notre Dame of Ohio did. They gave themselves a fighting chance, and they were able to take advantage of it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Stick with us. We'll be back on the other side. We'll get Mike and Charles to get in here and give us some thoughts on these major division level games, as well as AD Drew, BJ Jones, and Joshua Sims. One game we'll get everybody to comment on. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Rap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Mills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Boy, I love the takes in between. Boy, we get so much done, so much real talk going on. With that being said, we're going to go straight to it, and we're going to go straight to Charles. Take us to Mobile, Alabama Lab, People's Stadium, Gulf Coast Challenge. Number 4, Jackson State Tigers improve to 4-2, 2-1, defeat the number 7 Alabama A&M Bulldogs, who fall to 3-3 and 1-2, 45-30. Just when we thought the Bulldogs could take the next step and take a bite out of crime, the Tigers said not so much. Get back into your corner over there in your doghouse. Charles, what were your thoughts in this matchup?
Yeah, good win for Jackson State. And I think coming out of the bye week, one of the things T.C. Taylor mentioned was that they wanted to start fast and play clean, and they did that. They jumped out to a 35-7 lead at halftime. If there's anything that you really kind of keep an eye on as Jackson State, they got to finish better. But first half, they outscored 23-10 in the second half. So that was, I think, the blemish on yesterday. But defensively, they came out and they jumped on top of Quincy Casey early and chased him from the game. I think that was a huge takeaway because he had been playing some really great ball over the past couple of weeks. So A&M ended up having to go with Xavier Langford. But on the bright side of things, Jackson State has a very interesting Thunder Lightning sort of situation with Herb Mulligan and Ahmad Miller. Ahmad Miller is younger brother of Aubrey Miller, and he came in, had a huge run yesterday. We've seen bits and pieces of Ahmad, and he had a pretty a good game against Texas State where he was running the ball effectively. But that bodes well for Jackson State's offense going forward. They can keep Jason Brown out of third and long situations if they can run the football. He had an efficient game yesterday, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. But overall, Jackson State's defense really got things done in the second half and kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half, but they had more than enough to put Alabama A&M away.
Good stuff. Good report. We look at what's going on there. With that being said, Mike, let me go to you. Let's go into the Independence. Hampton, Virginia, Armstrong Stadium. We're at the Coastal Athletic Conference, formerly known as the Colonial CAA. You have Campbell that just lost to North Carolina Central this week. They get a little bounce back. This one we thought Hampton Pirates were ready to ascend and put the crown on the top of the head. People said not so fast, as Campbell says no. This is time for the conference standing. 3-2, 2-2 overall as they improve as they defeat Hampton Pirates. They fall to 3-2 on the season and 1-1 in the conference race, 30-27. Really good game, but Pirates could not get it done. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Yeah, so I was kind of reading and I took a look at some of the clips. If Hampton plays this game, if they played the first and second quarter like they played the second half of the third and fourth quarter, there's a chance they probably would have won this game. They're playing, Campbell, which came into the game as 13, 14, 15th in total offense, averaging 434 yards a game. They accomplished that. They got 440 yards. So you knew they were kind of going to get theirs. Hampton has a couple of rushers that are pretty good. The CAA's leading rusher, Elijah Burris, I think he had $115, $113, and then Derek Butts had 124. So you knew that Campbell was strong on the offensive side. If you look at their stats in the CAA, they're not as strong on the defensive side. They allow a lot of yards against him. And then sure enough, they go into halftime. Campbell's up 14-7, and then they go and get into the fourth quarter. And lo and behold, Hampton, has a chance to win this game and gets the ball with 58 seconds left, unfortunately, and scores. But Campbell recovered the onside kick. So it's a game to me that could have went either way. So I was surprised on the defensive front that Hampton was not able to stop, their top receiver, but give Campbell's quarterback credit. Haj Malik Williams. I mean, kid went off yesterday, so he had about 280, close to 300 yards. If I'm reading the box score right, but it was his performance there. 240 yards. I'm sorry. It was his performance. He made throws when he had to, particularly in the fourth quarter when Hampton started pressuring them more on the defensive side. So give them credit. It was a close game. I think Hampton could have won had they played that first and second quarter like they played the third and fourth quarter. They switched up their defensive scheme. If I look at the clips right, and put more pressure on the quarterback, but unfortunately fell short.
Good stuff there. Hampton was not to be in this matchup. But let's go down to another MEAC matchup versus the Coastal Athletic Conference, CAA. North Carolina Central is at it again. Number 2, North Carolina Central Eagles improved to 5-1. They're sliding through the season, making moves and getting stronger as they go, it seems like. Switching quarterbacks, different things happening, and they still find a way to get it done. They go on the road and get it done. Against elite Elon Phoenix that fall to 3-3, still 3-0 in the Colonial, which is another statement when you look at the overall framing of this game. And Eagles dominate from what I could see and what I read and saw, 34-23 in this matchup. Joshua, take us into this game and tell us what you saw.
Yeah, man, Doc, this is a perfect example of the final score not being indicative of the way that it really was dominated. Elon gets down to their third string quarterback yesterday. Clearly, we were up 28-10 by the time they had their third string quarterback in the game. We had called the dogs off the way we really probably at a time, and I think Coach Cole will probably say he called the dogs off a little too early. It was the fourth quarter. Called the dogs off just a little too early. But listen, man, another Walter Payton Award performance by Davius Richard. This young brother is the debate is over inside of Eagle Land. The debate is over. This young brother has clearly made it. He's made it perfectly clear that he is quite possible the greatest thing we've seen come through this program. Whoa! Yesterday.
Whoa!
Didn't know this, and shout out to Kyle Server, our person that does all our stats and has all of our information historically. Yesterday was North Carolina Central's 500th program win. Latrell Mookie Colliers becomes the 9th player in school history to amass 2,000 rushing yards for his career. But Davius Richard, the week prior, had set the record, had already broken and set the record for most rushing touchdowns in school history. He then comes back the week prior, the next week, and goes for another 3 rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown, no turnovers, 60+% completion rate, 100+ rushing yards yesterday, and has over 280 total yards yesterday and 4 touchdowns, coming off a week where he had put up 5 total touchdowns, coming off a week where he took a week off against Valley. Yesterday, the defense finally showed what can happen when we force a team to be one-dimensional. North Carolina Central forced Elon to be one-dimensional yesterday. The run game for Elon yesterday was absolutely non-existent. Non-existent. They passed the ball as we expect. Our DBs having some, kind of coming along, getting along to come along. And yesterday, that defensive line, which I told everybody was going to be better this year than they even were last year, because we finally got some edge rushers. You see this defensive line force seven coverage sacks yesterday, along with another 5 hurries that really should have been sacks yesterday as well. I was impressed by this performance by our defense, who, as the third string guy got in there, they found some things to do. They ran the ball with the quarterback, not a lot of passing down the field. But I was impressed by the defense yesterday. And I think that the conversation is done as we go into the bye week. I think the conversation is over. And I can say this as a person who's been around this athletic program for over 3 decades. I can say that I know for a fact I've watched so many of these games, and I know the guys that have come through this program. And if my mama willing to say it, who was a classmate of Earl Harvey,
I'm listening.
Yeah, if my mama willing to say it, she was a classmate of Earl Harvey, study was around that program, was one of the team managers during the program when Earl Harvey was on campus and walking around when Air was doing his thing. I think that this conversation is over, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll get a chance to put an he'll get a chance to put an exclamation mark on it. He'll get a chance to put an exclamation mark on it. But this conversation's over.
Because I was about to say this is the program of Earl, the great Earl Harvey, and you're putting Davius Richard above Earl Harvey.
It comes down to a conversation, Chuck, of preference, and I talk about this a lot on HBCU Nightly. We talk about preference. If your preference for watching a game of football is you want to see a quarterback throw the ball all around the field and amass an incredible amount of passing yards and passing touchdowns, then you normally most of us will fall in love with that. But we talk about the fact that this young brother already has a national championship, already has been conference player of the year. Now we're talking about on another divisional level than Earl was playing at. The amount of turnovers is vastly different. But when you add in the fact that this brother is just as dangerous with his legs as he is with his arm, he's an improved passer this year. Only one interception as far as what we've seen. One of them was the other one is against UCLA. I'm calling that a mulligan because that was against a screen where a guy who's probably going to be a first 20 draft pick sheds a block on the screenplay and he throws the pick right there. He makes an incredible play, one-handed interception. Outside of that, only one other interception this season. This offensive line, I have to give kudos to this offensive line, an improved offensive line that lost 2 All-Americans last year. I'm saying that the conversation is over, Chuck, for one reason and one reason only. When it boils down to games like this and the competition that he's going up against, what I see this brother do as far as taking over a game, it's unequivocal.
Yep.
It doesn't even, it pales in comparison. You can't compare these guys in the same way that you would compare 2 passing quarterbacks. We've had that. We had Malcolm Bell, who was a quintessential passer who could not catch Earl Harvey's passing record. But this brother has a chance still to pass the passing record and the passing touchdowns record. And he set the rushing record so high now, my son would have to start playing college football in North Carolina Central right now to even get close to touching that rushing record.
Point made. All right. We taking this box off. DJ Jones, let's go into Baton Rouge. You were there live. First, before you tell me what went on in the field and your thoughts about the matchup, talk about the atmosphere. Because as Joshua talked about it, I'm not sure if everybody could catch it from a television perspective. You could feel the energy in terms of what you saw, the matchup itself going back and forth. But talk about that, if you would, and then get into the mix of the game.
Oh, man, a lot of people, I'm going to be honest with you, Doc, a lot of people kind of felt like, hey, we know this football team is. I mean, if we can play it close, if we can do this, but I don't. Team came out and balled. The team came out and balled. The crowd got into it. The light show brings a whole different element. It was rocking. I looked at the attendance and we had like 17,000 or some change, close to 18,000, which is light for FAMU. It's light for FAMU. But man, the people that were there, man, it was electric, and you can tell that crowd, it shook up FAMU a little bit. It shook them up a little bit. We made it a hostile place to play, and it was just a great Baton Rouge Saturday night. Got a little cold last night, Doc. Got a little cold. It wasn't as warm.
It did.
Got a little cold last
night.
Yeah, I mean, but overall, man, atmosphere was solid. And I just came up a little bit short. Looking at that ball game yesterday, defensively, we had some opportunity. I think about that last drive. If we catch that interception, that changes the facet of the ball game. Special teams was key. Special teams cost us 4 points. 2 missed extra points is 2. And then have one of those as a block, and the FAMU returns that for 2 points. So that's 4 points there. And then offensively, to be honest with you, Doc, it almost seemed as that we were trying to hide Harold Blood. Only 19 passes on last night. We didn't went to the tight end early, didn't go back to him anymore at any other point during the game. But this team came together. They played tough last night. It was a challenge. You got the best team in the conference coming in on paper. And this team was challenged, and they rose to the challenge. We just came up a little bit short. And I know all people want to talk about is that 2-minute drill, which left a lot left to be desired. To get the ball back and with 2 minutes and 44 seconds left with an opportunity to tie, it should not take you 1 minute and 57 seconds to get off 3 plays, or which one of those being a draw play. So
how do you run the ball the first play of that drive?
Yeah. So you had a exuberant fan base last night that was excited, Doc, and that fan base, when you left the stadium, those pom-poms turned into pitchforks and torches.
Oh,
yeah.
I feel you. I understand, because that defensive front held FAMU rushing to 67 yards. It was fascinating to watch, but they were able to get a lot of passing yards. It was intriguing. Charles, you wanted to follow up with a quick question?
Well, and that's my question to AD Drew. Does that not concern you? Jeremy Musa had 53 pass attempts last night, and that FAMU's running game couldn't produce more yardage than it did. Does that not throw up a red flag at some point that could be an issue somewhere down the line?
That throws up a red flag, a green flag, a orange flag, a blue flag. That throws up every color flag, and I hope it doesn't make FAMU throw in the towel and a white flag as they surrender. I said this last night. We had a watch.
They gonna tell him you're gonna throw in a white chair.
That white folding chair. That folding chair coming out.
That's only in Alabama, Doc. It's only in Alabama.
Gotcha.
But
You're right.
But I said this last night as we were closing out the watch party that we had for the game. I need $1.25 for Fam on the ground. If Fam could give you $1.25 running, they can. Let's be real. If they can give you $1.25, they've got a chance to beat Central. Right now, if you put these two teams head to head against each other, Josh, I gotta say it, bro. I don't give Fam a prayer unless they get that running game established. So yes, Charles, to answer your question, it throws up a tremendous red flag. And I will get this, and I will get out on this one. I don't know if y'all realize this, but if a couple things shake out over the next couple of weeks, Fam, you can have the East sold up before homecoming. Yeah. Especially if Alabama State defeats Jackson State this upcoming week. That means essentially FAMU will be up 3 games on everybody as they sit at home for the bye week this week. So everybody may be paying attention to the West because the East may be done in another week or so.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great point when you break it down there. Let's get into our last break. We're going to get on the other side. We're going to do our last game at Alcorn. Graham homecoming against the Grambling Tigers that really set the West on fire, which has everybody intriguing, trying to figure out. I want to see each of y'all thoughts on that matchup, and then tell me what you think of the West. The last thing we'll talk about who's driving that 18-wheeler truck to Atlanta. AD Drew, I have a little more concerns to me with your wide receivers. They dropped too many passes for me. I know people are talking about Musa, but and he has
we had some
that you can think about here and there, but the wide receivers do not help him as much as they could in terms of matriculating the ball down the field.
And don't use our tight end.
Exactly. We'll get on the other side and come back with a little more talk, get into that Grambling State on the road at Alcorn State. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break because I got to tell you about my neighbor as well.
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a 6th sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah,
So you.
it is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry?
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
For authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, ox.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're back for our last segment. It should be a good one as all of them. Get into it. I want to do this. Give a shout out to Tennessee State Tigers. They get a big win on the road against Kennesaw State. Bounce back after last week's conference loss. They have a non-conference win. This is a program that's moving up to Conference USA. So kudos for the Tigers. And Eddie George is getting it done over there in Tigerland. We'll see what that looks like as they continue to move forward. See if they become a game of the week this week. We'll check it out and give you more on that. With that being said, let's get into this last matchup. It was a good one. It was a classic one. Seems like it always is in a lot of ways. Louisville, Mississippi, Jack Spink Stadium. We have the number 5 Grambling State Tigers that fall to 3-3, 2-1 in the conference race. That's critical as they lose to the number 10 Alcorn State Braves, 3-3, 2-1. Final score was 25-24. And as Drew said, I think they're still finding clock time to leave on the clock, as they said. We'll see what that means. With that being said, shout out to my neighbor Dennis as he's traveling home, traveling grace to all those out there traveling home, traveling grace. Particularly the neighbor, man. It's been raining, and I was seeing if that was maybe an excuse not to get in the yard last week after that tough loss Prairie View a couple of weeks ago. But I'm sure this week with the victory, he'll be out there manicuring the lawn. So I thought I'd get ahead of things, and I texted him. My mentor, Dr. Owens, was down there with his RV, went over there, checked on it. Tell him to have a good time, and he was out there in the atmosphere, giving me pictures back. My neighbor quiet all game long. So I decided this morning to give him a shout out, tell him, safe travels back. Congratulations on the win. I'm gracious. And then I even said thank you. Thank you for making sure that Prairie View Panthers are back in the race. Man, he hits me back with a text. He gets all ugly with it. I'm like, oh, neighbor, what's wrong? He said, on our way back now. So I thought he was going to leave it there. Then I see another text, blah, blah, it comes through. By the way, you're welcome. PV got at least one more butt whooping coming. All we got to do is win out. I was like, okay, all you got to do is win out. We'll leave it right there. Shout out to Mr. Dennis, as Deuce likes to call him, getting all in his feelings. I'm going to talk about that, man. I'm going to talk about that. Gotta be nice to folks. They don't know how to act. With that being said, let's go around for everybody to talk about this. Charles, I'm going to start with you. Tell me a little bit, what was your thoughts in terms of this matchup as the Braves find a way to get it done?
if I didn't see the box score and I saw the fact that that Grambling had 5 sacks against Alcorn and really held down Jarvin Howard, I just off the top of my head, I would have thought that Grambling had won this football game. But you take your hat off to Alcorn. Despite the adversity yesterday, they were able to fight through. And the stat that blew me away after watching Grambling up close was keeping that rushing game at bay. That was huge to keep Grambling's rushing game to under 100 yards, only 60 yards rushing total yesterday. But Miles Crawley, 3 interceptions yesterday. That hasn't been his game this season.
He goes back to earth.
Yeah, he came back to earth. I think coming into this game, I think he only had 1 interception. So Alcorn's defense, they were ball hawking yesterday.
Good points. Good points. BJ Jones, what was your thoughts? What stood out in this matchup for you?
Oh, man. Alcorn had their backs up against the wall, man. We talked about it, man. If Alcorn loses this game, it's probably over. But they found a way to get it done. You saw them be opportunistic. I saw the beginning of the game, which the way it started, man, was weird, to say the least. Missed the ending of it, and I heard that was just as weird as the starter. But, I mean, Alcorn finds a way. And, man, here we go again. That Fred McNair squad find themselves kind of sneaking around the chicken coop. You got the 4 teams in the West that all have 1 loss. And, Doc, when you look at the schedules that are coming up, it's like every game now is almost like a playoff. But I want to give a shout out to that Alcorn offense, man. They found a way, even though that Howard didn't have his best day, and Grambling found a way to slow down their rushing game. Alcorn still found a way to get it done. So shout out to the Braves and happy homecoming to the Braves out there.
No doubt, no doubt. Mike, what are your thoughts? Grambling and Alcorn, neither team could really rush the ball. Grambling had 60 yards. Auburn State had 66.
I'm pissed off. That's why. Because here, Prairie View went all the way to goddamn Mississippi. Ain't won there since 2015. Inks out a win against Alcorn. And what happens? We go and lay a big-ass goose egg against Grambling. So a team that we arguably should have beat. And then what happens? Alcorn finds a way to beat Grambling with all of that has just been said. Oh, yeah, Crawley and the 3 interceptions. Time of possession was good. But, I mean, hats off to, Alcorn. I watched part of that game. That was an ugly game to watch. Seriously, you look at the mistakes. You look at the turnovers by both teams. It was kind of ugly. But I thought Grambling was going to pull that out. It just felt like Grambling was going to pull that out. I turned away, walked back, comes back. With a minute 58, looks like Alcorn came back. I really became pissed off. That's how, those were my thoughts. I know that's not analytical, but I'm pissed off.
That's
what data point is that, Mike? What data point is pissed off?
That ain't no damn data point. That's a Mike point.
Boy, we get a lot of firsts. We got a first to go past data points, just pissed off the festivity. But that being said, let's go to you, Joshua, in terms of your thoughts of this matchup.
Yeah, man, I love to look at the quarterback duels once we had these games, man. And shout out to Aaron Allen, man. This young brother it was homecoming and put on a show yesterday. Over 250 yards, total yards yesterday. 248 of that coming through the air and 3 of those coming on the ground. But, I mean, just put on a show. 3 touchdowns yesterday, only 1 interception. And even that 1 interception, really, honestly, that was a rough one. I don't understand why he threw that ball. But yesterday, man, put on the show and he outdueled Miles Crawley, who was absolutely playing lights out, man. He was a fan favorite of everybody's playing through these first few weeks, have been playing lights out. And he goes in and he has the opposite stats. He throws 3 interceptions and only 1 touchdown yesterday. So I love to look at the quarterback duels. I love to see how these guys go. As everybody knows, wins and losses are a quarterback stat, just like for pitchers in baseball. So I always love to see who comes out on the other side of the W. And absolutely my hat goes off to Aaron Allen yesterday. Just played lights out yesterday, balled out, minus that 1 interception, man. And shout out to Alcorn, man. Happy homecoming. I know most of y'all are headed back home. I know Dr. Cavil didn't even mention the neighbor last week because of what happened in the last week. So it's good to hear his name pop back up into the conversation this week. So, but yeah, man, very, very impressive thing. I was a little disappointed that I didn't see Jarvion Howard, a big time game from Jarvion Howard yesterday, but you find a way to get it done the way you need to get it done. And Aaron Allen did that. And that offensive line played really, really well. And that last drive, man, I mean, who can't say nothing else about that last drive to go win the game yesterday by those guys, man. So hat goes off to those guys and Aaron Allen playing lights out.
Yeah.
Let me give a shout out to a couple of my other neighbors. I don't want to think they don't have any love. I got a southern neighbor down the street. He already talking about basketball. Now he's a former basketball player for the Southern Jaguars. I'm like, what he wants to talk basketball. He asked me all week about the men's and women's basketball media day. I said, you don't never talk about basketball. In the neighbor on the corner, Texas Southern University, he just as quiet as the church mouse. He hadn't said nothing. He just waves at me real nice. So
man, you gonna find a fiery pitchfork in your yard one day talking about your neighbors like that.
Let me go to you to get your thoughts on this matchup if I get myself in trouble with my neighbors.
What was that, B?
Yes. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I need y'all to help me out with something. What is the better way to find people? The milk carton or the Amber Alert? Because the running game for both of these teams has just disappeared. So everybody's out looking for the running game and the running backs for both of these teams. Is like Doc said, one team had 60 yards, the other team had 63 yards. But BJ, Charles, maybe y'all can help me out with this. What is it that they grow in the fields there around Norman, Mississippi, that allows a quarterback to multiple times that was not the starter at the beginning of the year to wind up taking the starting spot and wind up becoming one of the better quarterbacks in the SWAC conference, i.e., Aaron Allen this year. Aaron Allen was not supposed to be the starter. We've seen it before. Devontae Kincaid, you can keep going on and on and on with an all-core quarterback who did not start the season. And right now, Aaron Allen is making a push to become the offensive player of the year quietly as it's kept. Right now, I like him better than I like Musa. And for a FAMU Rattler to say that, that's tough. But it's a fact right now. I like his play better than I like Musa's play since SWAC play has begun.
Hey, DJ, you are right. But remember, let's rewind. Back to media day. We said this about the SWAC West. With Alcorn, we don't know who they quarterback on. We don't know what their situation is. We said that. There's no surprise. How good he is, yes, but it's no surprise that somebody comes up out of the ashes. We said,
but it always happens at Alcorn. Alcorn is the only team that got somebody there who you ain't never heard.
Yeah, it's not like it's just one time.
And then they wind up becoming conference player of the year. It's always Alcorn.
Yes,
this is over a decade that this happened, so you're absolutely talking about that. Let's talk about some of these key matchups as we get going forward. We're going to pull up this little screenshot here. I want to see your thoughts on it in terms of 18-wheeler. As you see in the front seat, we have FAMU and North Carolina Central as they look like they're on the collision course. When you think about it, bags packed, ready, looks like they're trying to get to Atlanta. And you have a couple of teams in the background that are lurking around. Howard's out there saying, hey, what about us? I might have to remove that Alabama A&M helmet, but you got Jackson State in there in the mix. Prairie View's looking in there. Grambling saying, hey, we in there. Southern might have to remove that Norfolk State as they were in the mix couple of this weekend. But as things continue to move forward, it looks like maybe a 2-horse race over there. I know it's early. South Carolina State says, hold on. Well, our first game was our first game, but we're back in the mix. Let me get each of your thoughts in terms of, do you agree with the picture in terms of who's driving this truck and who should be looking to try to get into those front seats, starting with you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, on the Mid-East and Athletic side, on the MEAC side, Norfolk State had a bye week. This week, Howard goes up to Northwestern and try to make a valiant effort to get a W against a Big Ten team, which was that was really gonna be a big time win, man. And I salute Howard. Congratulations, but y'all know my stance. I don't believe in no good losses. You lose, you lose. All right. So Howard, you now have 6 more weeks to prove to somebody's mama, grandmama, auntie, uncle, somebody that you deserve to even be on that truck. All right. I'm time to put up a shut up, man. I'm tired of hearing about Howard and hearing that Howard is this and that. And I'm saying this loud and living color. All right. You want to be on that truck. It's time for you to show that you deserve to be on that truck. South Carolina State has rolled off 2 W's, got one against Citadel and against VUL, is what it is. Delaware State shouldn't even be at the darn port. Norfolk State, we're going to see. We're going to see Norfolk. I believe they have, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference with Otto Coombs. We're going to see if that defense can be able to hold up. And Morgan State, man, hopefully coming out of this week off, man, I'm hoping that this is a more reinvigorated, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, through and through, has one of the best defenses in all of college football. It's hard for you to even look past that team. And I'm not surprised that they're not necessarily on that box because, again, another team that just hasn't found a way to get a W past week 1's win. So, I wanted to focus just on the MEAC side, Doc. I know these brothers, everybody else here knows the swag, but on the MEAC side, right now, we're going to see it's South Carolina State for me. It's South Carolina State for me. They the ones that deserve to be on that box truck for sure. And we'll get a chance on Thursday night, national televised game, to see what that game is going to turn out to be. Our last time getting a chance to play against Coach Buddy Pugh. North Carolina Central's last time to play against Buddy Pugh, man, before he goes and rides off into the immaculate sunset that is HBCU football stardom. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens. But as far as me, Howard don't deserve to be on that darn truck, man. Find a way to win some darn games, man. You be on the truck. The only win you got this year is against freaking Morehouse, man. Who you think you kidding?
Stop trying to get out here bullying Howard.
You Bison bully you?
Hey, you see how I had to do that.
Hey, wait till Erica see this, boy. Wait till Erica see this.
Hey, AD Drew, what are your thoughts on the 18-wheeler?
I think he got it hit on the head. We already know that the 2 people driving the truck right now, FAMU and North Carolina Central. The question is, Doc, who's riding shotgun though of those 2 teams? Because those 2 are clearly the 2 teams that are dominating. But there is plenty of cargo back there out of the West, and somebody in the SWAC West can mess around and jump up in that front seat.
Absolutely.
Real fast. Because like I said, FAMU's very close to wrapping up the East already, mathematically wrapping up the East with the tiebreaker. So if that does happen and they wrap it up early, will they continue to keep their foot on the gas, or will they wait until the first week of December and try to get it started again? If that happens, that is a tough position to be in, where you wrap things up so easily. Even during Jackson State's dominance, FAM was always on their ass, and Jackson State could not let up off the gas pedal. As it always went down to that last game. Jackson State still had to win because FAM was always right there just waiting on Jackson State to fall. Doesn't look like it's turning out to be like that this week. And then in the West, because of the competition, the parity in the West, those teams will be battle tested come the first week of December. So it could be interesting when you have those battle tested teams against that team that's just been on cruise control for maybe a whole month.
No doubt. BJ Jones?
That's about accurate to me, Doc. I would give Alabama A&M the old heave ho from the truck. I think with them
lead them at the rest stop.
Yeah, I think with them getting that second loss, man, you're more than welcome to leave them at the pilot, or lead them down at the Luby's to get something to eat. I think other than that, man, I think that's where it is. But this is what I always tell people. It's a long season. It is a long season, particularly in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Remember 2 years ago, around about this time, it looked like Norfolk were on their way smooth sailing on to Atlanta, and then South Carolina State got them. North Carolina Central, which really started North Carolina Central to going, got them. So it's a long season over in the MEAC. And in the SWAC, this is the thing. We now know that FAMU will bleed. That takes a little of the shine off of them a little bit. There's some key games coming up this week. Alabama A&M has to go to Grambling. Grambling's homecoming. Homecoming in Jackson, Mississippi. Alabama State goes there. The way that Alabama State plays the game of football potentially can muck that game up for Jackson State. And that's going to be very, very, very interesting. But right now, North Carolina Central to me is in the driver's seat. FAMU has got their feet kicked up on the dashboard and the passenger seat riding shotgun. And then you have everybody else. But a week from today, that could change. Like I say, we got a lot of ball in front of us. So we'll see how it plays out.
I like that. It got the feet kicked up. I agree with you. All season long, it looks like they've been trading seats and giving the other one a little rest to drive for a while. With that being said, let me go to you, Mike. What are your thoughts in terms of the 18-wheeler truck headed to Atlanta?
Yeah, I like the artistry, that little rental truck converted into it. I like that. First, North Carolina Central, they seatbelt is strapped. They driving the truck right now. I don't see anybody moving them out. That FAMU, you ever watch them James Bond movies and there's an ejector seat? There's an ejector switch. That ejector switch is close to FAM. You know why? Because I saw some vulnerabilities. If they match up against the wrong West team, SWAC West team, it's going to be a bad day. To me, the last couple of games for FAM uncovered some vulnerabilities. And the Southern defensive line just manhandled. You know how you get on a flight and they say, if you are not intended to go to Butt, please exit the plane. That's Alabama A&M. If you're not intended to go to, please exit. I agree with BJ. Alabama A&M, you got to go. FAMU, that seat is suspect. So I wouldn't just claim them just yet in that seat. There could be a SWAC West team that poses a bad matchup. Don't get me wrong, Southern is suspect in the quarterback. When you only try to pass 19 times and run the ball 35 times, that's a head scratcher. Hell, Jay and Tiffany were saying, I think there's something wrong with Flood. They said it on the announcement. It was completely obvious. So as you get into the season, vulnerabilities are opened up. And to me, FAMU in that seat, they got a couple of vulnerabilities. Jeremy Musa is doing okay, but I don't know if he's what we thought he would be. So some serious vulnerabilities. Hand on that ejector switch. You got the seat for now, but hand on the ejector seat for FAMU.
Hey, who's that West team, Mike?
Huh?
Who's that West team that you're looking at?
PV.
Hell, I think if Alcorn messes around and do it, they could pose a bad matchup.
I say PV. I say PV
too.
If they have all the elements.
If PV plays them like we know PV can, I think PV is. The only thing about SWAC West, it's the wild. It is what we said it would be, the Wild Wild West. It shouldn't be no surprise. But if a team like PV or Alcorn State messes around and gets to that championship, they could pose a bad matchup scenario for FAMU because of those vulnerabilities that have been opened up.
Mike, some call it chaos. Some call it chaos. I say this is good.
I'm just gonna say the problem you got is it looks like it's gonna be in Tallahassee.
It's gonna be in Tallahassee. They different in Tallahassee.
Yeah, it's a different beast.
Different in Tallahassee.
All those games went home and they were winning, but the problem is the West is gonna mug it up, so they're gonna have 2 or 3 losses. So they're not gonna host with that.
They're not gonna host. Yeah.
Let me go to you, Charles. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would say looking at the truck that those are the 2 teams that should be in the front seat. But I will say this, that there is such a thin line. Unlike the past 2 years, there's such a thin line between a 5-0 team and a 1-4 team in the SWAC. I mean, very thin line. So I take a look at these things right here. Going forward, playoff football starts in the MEAC October 19th, the week of October 19th. We get into conference play. So that's going to be fun football. Circle this day when FAMU comes out here to Houston and takes on Texas Southern. Circle that. That's going to be a very interesting game to me because I think a lot of uncertainty with Texas Southern around the quarterback position that's settled now. Okay, so it's Jace Wilson going forward, and a lot of to be very honest with you, Texas Southern has a bunch of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, so that's going to be a very interesting game. Prairie View is very interesting thing about Prairie View. They are an explosive team that has a tendency to shoot themselves in the foot. And if they can eliminate that part of themselves, that part of their team, they can be a dangerous football team coming to FAMU October 28th. But this is a football team that actually they are extremely explosive, but they have a tendency to take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's one of the things that really drives Coach Bubba McDowell crazy about this team because he sees it. They're in places to make plays, and they don't make them. And one of the things he pointed out to me, you have a lot better athletes in the SWAC over the past 2-3 years. You're going to get a lot of man-to-man opportunities, and you got to win those matchups. So that's just something to kind of keep an eye on going forward, and especially other little nuance. 3rd and 7 or more. Start looking at teams dropping 8 because it's become a real issue with a lot of quarterbacks, both in the MEAC and in the SWAC, and that's from talking to quite a few coaches in both conferences. Dropping 8 is like the new thing now, and you're making a quarterback try to be accurate.
Right.
Oh wow!
Hey, Charles, keep in mind, FAMU has not lost a road game in the SWAC since joining.
Yeah, that's a good point.
2 neutral site games, but not a road game.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
No, they hadn't lost.
Nope.
They hadn't lost since they got this point, for real.
Not at home or away, just 2 neutral sites.
Right. Jackson
Hey,
State.
Doc, real quick, I misspoke real fast with Howard. They did beat Robert Morris as well. Sorry. They beat Robert Morris. My bad.
I was gonna put that out there, but I figured
We can go beat Robert Morris right now, though.
Exactly. Who ain't beating Robert Morris?
My cleat's sitting right over there by the window. We can go beat Robert Morris right now.
I'll coach it up, y'all. I ain't trying to get hit.
obviously on Tuesday we have HBCU Weekly. On Wednesday we have HBCU Nightly. This evening we have Sports Rap with Brian and AD. Obviously we'll do our thing on Tuesday and Thursday, but some of the fascinating matchups to think about. One of those is Norfolk State going to Tennessee State for their homecoming this weekend. That should be a fascinating one. My understanding that the band is traveling down to the Legion, so that sets up for a great second matchup if that's the case. Obviously, we heard about some of the matchups, the band from FAMU not coming. Southern was the only band game they did go last year was to Tallahassee, so that may have been part of that. Throw that out there. And then to the same point with Mississippi Valley, they did not bring the band to Prairie View. So we got to get some of these bands to get out there and get it going, get some of these trips. We'll see what that looks like. But that was one that was interesting to me for the MEAC. Then you also had the fact, as you talked about Tennessee Tech going into South Carolina. Fascinating with that matchup. North Carolina Central got that win at the end of the season last year. That was a fascinating one to keep in mind in terms of what that looks like. And then you go into, obviously, the SWAC. You got some big matchups. A couple of people hinted at this in terms of Alabama A&M going to Grambling. What is that going to look like in terms of that homecoming matchup? Alabama State at Jackson State. Jackson State's homecoming matchup. And then you got the Pine Bluff and Valley game. Whoever wins this might get their lone conference win of the season. So this is an important one from that perspective.
Valley? We talking Valley? We talking Valley?
Pine Bluff got a better chance of beating somebody later on in the season than Valley does. Valley's horrible. Yeah, they lost to Central State, who is horrible in the SIAC. That's all I'm going to say.
Valley looked way better than I thought they were going to look.
Yeah,
yesterday they did.
They did look good. You notice I waited till the game was over to say that.
Valley's problem is their depth. They play no matter who it is for a half. If they can find a way to push that into the second half, they might get somebody, and we'll see if it's Pine Bluff in terms of this weekend. So I'd be a
get
little more
Pine
careful about that.
better
Texas
game.
Southern travels to Bethune-Cookman, take the Florida trip. I might be on that ride, so I'll give you some insight. It is Bethune-Cookman's homecoming, so it'll be fascinating to see. Another one of those West versus East matchups that the East has had this year in terms of their number. That's fascinating. Prairie View A&M needs to get it done against Houston Christian. It is a away game, but right there in Houston in terms of that matchup, non-conference to make it continue to get some wins for SWAC in the conference. So interesting when you see some of those games, some of the games to keep your eyes on in terms of what that looks like. So I'm fascinated to see what goes on when you talk about that. Obviously, can Hampton bounce back as they go to Monmouth, and then A&T as they continue to struggle? We'll see what they do against Delaware, who is 2-0 in the Coastal, so that may not work well. And I wanted to bring a smile to Joshua's face, so that's why I mentioned it. With that being said, we'll close it up, get your Sunday back, and get you ready for the week. Make sure you tune into some of these key shows throughout the week and get you into your HBCU football mix. With that final thing being said, I'd be remiss. Obviously, we did have the Morgan State Bears with Stony Brook Seawolves traveling to Morgan State, Baltimore. But we've heard by now that game was canceled, and also prayers go out to Bowie State, as we heard tragic events have taken place there as well. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, with two of the members of X's and O's crew, BJ Jones, curator of the HBCU Weekly, Joshua Sims, senior curator of the HBCU Nightly, AD Drew and Brian doing the sports wrap, as we said. Thanking them and my two colleagues and partners getting it done. Mike Washington with the shades on because of the long evening drinking his coffee. Mike might be back into it, even though he's not. Yeah.
Oh, you thought this was coffee?
My
bad.
Charles, you know it by now. He get us all right on our trips. Can't wait till Atlanta. We'll be there. We'll see who else will be there with us. Again, we want to thank you. Hope you enjoyed the show. For listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest.
Stop it. Stop it, please. You were wrong with that ridiculous whatever.
ANYATTACAVIL. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. It's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Drink big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Horse.
Mike.
Lecture.
AD, BJ, and Joshua.
Dismissed.
Dismissed.
Yeah, we're going to have to get them to practice